South Carolina continues to roll as they came up with an absolutely obliteration. Is that the proper terminology? They completely obliterated Ole Miss today, 85-48. It is now the eighth straight win for the Gamecocks, who have only lost once in conference against Oklahoma. They did have a loss to Texas earlier this year in a tournament, but they only have one conference loss, 27-2, 13-1 in the SEC. They pretty much have the SEC regular season title locked up. It's completely unlikely that they will lose both of their games. In fact, I don't even think it matters because they have the head-to-head matchup with Texas in conference. So the question now becomes, is South Carolina the only team that has any chance in hell of competing with UConn? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. We talk facts over feelings, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez-Shaman. You know who I am. You know what I do. You know what I say. Leave your comments. Leave your thoughts. I appreciate your feedback. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. I appreciate y'all jumping on board. We are hitting tournament time, folks. We are in the thick of it. We have 1 week left until the conference tournaments begin in women's basketball, followed by March Madness. It's right around the corner. It is right around the corner. And we got South Carolina hitting all cylinders. They've now, in their last 8 games, they have won 4 straight games over ranked opponents. 5 ranked opponents in their last 8 wins. They bludgeoned Vanderbilt. They bludgeoned Tennessee. They beat the crap out of Alabama. They smashed Ole Miss. And they got a 7-point win at LSU, continuing to play that role of the big sister to the little sister. The little sister's been trying for so long to beat the big sister, but that big sister keeps busting her upside her head and saying, not today. No, don't think about it. It ain't gonna happen. And I gotta tell you, the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks are coming on strong. They have size, they have shot making ability. Question is, can they compete with UConn? I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. Is UConn beatable? The quickest answer is yes. Everybody's beatable. Everybody is beatable. South Carolina has been led by Joyce Edwards, who's averaging over 20 points a game, over 60% from the field. Today, Medina Olcott had a big game with 17 points and 10 rebounds in their 37-point win over Ole Miss in only 22 minutes of action. She also had 4 block shots. Denia Lansing was 6-8 with 13. Joyce Edwards had 21 and 6. And Raven Johnson had 7 assists. And this is the day where Tessa Johnson basically did nothing with only 3 points and 1 of 5 from the field. But man, they seem to be putting it all together at the right time. And they look dangerous, man. They look dangerous. They're going to play a brand of basketball that's tough, physical, hard-nosed. And again, this year, they have size that they did not have last year. And that is to me, that is the way that they have a chance to compete with UConn. Now, do I think they'll beat UConn when it all said and done, which would be for likely a national championship? If that was to happen, if we're to get a rematch of last year's Natty, I don't. I think UConn is just so much better than everybody else. They're so talented, so deep. They got the best player in the country, in my opinion, is Sarah Strong. And they got size, speed, shooting, and a load of confidence on top of that. When you look at UConn this year, I mean, they've only had a couple of games that were inside 20 points, let alone close. I mean, they had the one game against Michigan early on that they won by 3 where they played like trash. But other than that, their closest game was a 14-point win over Villanova and a 15-point win over Marquette. Everything else, for the most part, has been blowout city. And that includes the likes of USC by 28, Louisville by 13. I was there, but that game was over at halftime. And then, of course, they do have that 26-point win over Iowa, who's now going to be ranked in the top 10 more than likely after they smacked Michigan today. They got a 30-point win over Tennessee. So this is a team that's beaten everybody that they've played. They're smashing most opponents, and they're loaded. And this is the one. But could South Carolina get them? That's the question. I think a lot of things would have to happen for UConn to drop a game this year. It would take one. I think the first thing it would take that UConn has to play really poorly. Because if UConn plays well, they're not losing. We could kill the noise right now. If UConn plays well, they're not losing. They're just not losing. There is a certain level in which this team is playing this year. You got Sarah Strong averaging 19.3, AZ Fudd averaging 18. And then after that, it's 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 4. And you got, Strong's shooting 60% from the floor. Fudd's shooting 50% from the floor. Bianca Quinones is at 57% from the floor. This team is shooting 53% from the floor as a team, which is just certifiably ridiculous in women's basketball. You don't see that type of efficiency in the women's game realistically. South Carolina is probably the closest at 51.2% from the field. You got Edwards shooting at 60%, Tanaya Latson shooting at 49%, Tessa Johnson at 48, Ocott's at 59.4. Raven Johnson has turned her game up big time this year. As again, I've said it already. She's gotten better. Do I think that makes her better than somebody else? No, but her game has turned up a lot this year, and she's doing a much better job shooting as a much more efficient player as well. But UConn, man, they're just a bit different to me when it comes down to it. There's a difference. They shoot over 40% from three. AZ Fudd herself is shooting 47% from three. Quinones is shooting 40.4. Ashlyn Slade shooting 37.4. Ali Zeibel shooting 47.6%. Hell, Sarah Strong is shooting 40% from three people. Like this is, and you got Sarah Williams, who's literally watched her career. I'm gonna be real, and this is not to cast any shade at anybody, but Sarah Williams should have gone to LSU. Sarah Williams should have gone to LSU. Going to UConn, she's going to win a ring, in my opinion. But has she destroyed her value in the draft? Has she destroyed her value? I've said that about Tanaya Latson with where she is and having had her points per game drop by 10 playing for Dawn Staley, who is not a guard-friendly coach, even though she was a point guard. And the fact that they've taken the ball out of her hands and the ball is in the hands of Raven Johnson. Look, justifiably so, because Raven Johnson was the point guard who was already there. So it is justifiable that she is the point guard. I'm not arguing that. But when you look at any of these mock drafts, Sarah Williams, she ain't there anymore, bro. Like this ESPN one. Look, remember I said Tanaya Latson's draft stock has dropped a lot. There, she's projected to go number 13 now. This is a player who was probably a top 5 pick after last season. If she had been another 25 per game score, it'd be hard to let her get past the 5th or 6th pick in this draft. When you look at these different drafts, these different mock drafts, I think there's a lot to be said for what Sarah Williams may have done to her own stock. Like I see one that has her but this was 3 months ago. So this one right here is 3 months ago that has her at 13. I don't see we're at a different time right now. Here's another one right here I'm looking at. She in the top 15? Nope. She is not in the top 15. So Sarah Williams making that move to UConn, I think, has really screwed her from a financial perspective in the WNBA possibilities. 7 points, 4.5 rebounds. That just ain't it. Heck, let's see here. What do they have in this draft? Shit, this particular wow, this is bad. This is real bad for her. Like she's not even projected to go in the second round. They got yo for real, folks. When I tell you Sarah Williams draft stock has gone into the toilet, she is not even in. She's not even being drafted. Let me make sure I'm not missing something here. Let me make sure I'm not missing something here. This one particular draft, wbasketballblog.com, they don't even have her being drafted at this point. Like that is serious. Yeah, her draft stock has gone to complete and utter shit. For a lot of these mock drafts. Let me look at one more. Here's one. Let's see this one right here. That said, that just tells you how good and talented UConn is that they got a player who was averaging 19 and 12 last year at Wisconsin, and she can't. She's taking what is she taking? 4 shots, 5 shots a game. I mean, what's she taking? 140 shots in 30, 29 years? Yeah, about 5 shots a game, if that. That's significant, man. It's really significant. So it's this. It's obviously difficult for her. This one has her. This one here, CBS Sports has her at 20. So yeah, she's dropped a lot. But the question of the day remains, can South Carolina compete with them? And I think the realistic nature of it, and every South Carolina fans gonna get upset. They don't like me at times. They like me at other times. They get mad because I tell the truth that they don't want to hear. They want to tell me that Raven Johnson's the best point guard on planet Earth. Like, get out of here. That's ridiculous. But they are showing themselves to be head and shoulders above the rest of the SEC once again. And I don't think Texas nor LSU has any shot at beating them in the SEC tournament. Doesn't mean that Texas won't still be a 1 seed, but we're probably going to end up seeing a potential UCLA, South Carolina Final Four. I mean, I'm thinking that the Final Four is probably going to be the exact same teams that it was last year: UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas. It's looking that way again. This time, I think you get UConn versus Texas and South Carolina versus UCLA in the Final Four. And look, UCLA, man, will give South Carolina trouble. Like don't get it twisted at all. UCLA is going to give them trouble. They are a similar style team to South Carolina, and I think UConn runs them both off the floor. That's just how good I think UConn is. And I mean, again, South Carolina's good, bro. They're a good squad, and they're a dangerous team. They're always going to be dangerous. They do have mental advantages over teams just because of their experience and the I've been here before mentality, and we expect to win type of thing. Like they have to feel that. Of course they feel that. But no, I mean, I'd love to hear from South Carolina fans, especially like, what do you really believe? What do you really believe? Like if you were to play UConn in a best of 7, would you really pick South Carolina? I know it's a 1 game sample. All you need is one. But in the best of 7, do you really believe that South Carolina is better than UConn? I know you don't believe that. I know you don't believe that. So, while they could very well beat them when they play, they could. It's a possibility because anybody can lose. But I just they're probably the one team that has a shot. They're probably the one team that has a shot. I think the other one would be UCLA. Those are the only 2 teams I think have any shot in beating UConn. But I think UConn would run UCLA right off the floor just like they did last year. And I think they probably do the same thing to South Carolina again, like they did last year twice. They're just a tough matchup. And both teams have the size. The question becomes, here's the biggest question at this point. Medina Okot, she's 6 foot, 5 or so, 6'6", 13 and 10, 13 and 11, 59% from the field. She's gonna have to guard. She's gonna have to guard Sarah Williams, and Sarah Williams obviously gonna have to guard her, and also Jenna Alfie. They have more depth, obviously, in terms of size depth with UConn, but they also have better shooting. Like they're better shooting from the perimeter. And if UConn turns this into a track meet and Sarah Williams forces Medina Okot to run the floor the whole game, it could be rough. Unless you get some type of dominant performance out of Joyce Edwards and Tanaya Latson. Like for South Carolina to beat UConn, I think you need to get epic games out of your two best players. Yes, the two best players being Edwards and Latson. You need epic games. You need them both to drop 30 pieces. That's just my opinion. But I don't think it's going to happen. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. But again, today was a big day in women's basketball. Before I close this out, you had 5 ranked opponents playing each other. You had South Carolina smashing Ole Miss 85-47. You had Oklahoma knocking off Tennessee 193. You had Iowa. Could Iowa become a dangerous opponent for somebody? I mean, they might very well be. I might have to do a video on Iowa because they beat the tar out of Michigan. They only scored 62 points, but Michigan only scored 44 points. That's rough. That's rough on any day. On any day, you score 44 points. I mean, that's terrible. That's absolutely horrendous. And Iowa has taken some tough L's, losing to Minnesota, getting crushed by UCLA, getting beat by USC, who they're definitely better than. Um, They got a 21-point win over Ohio State, a 7-point win over Maryland, a 7-point win over Michigan State, all ranked, 10-point win over Nebraska. They got crushed by UConn. They lost to Iowa State and Audi Crooks. Don't know how the hell that happened. They did beat Baylor, who was ranked 7th at the time, by 5. So they got a bunch of good wins as well. And I think Iowa's looking at a top 2 or 3 seed in the tournament. And they finished the year with Illinois and Wisconsin. They're probably going to finish 24-5. And look, they're going to get another shot at UCLA. UCLA and Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. That's going to happen more than likely. So, yeah, Iowa could be a team to watch now, man. Don't sleep on them. They're playing well. They're this defensively. If they can, I mean, God, you hold people to 30% shooting, you're in a good spot. So they also got a big W today, and then of course, finally you got the who was it? What was the other games? The Vanderbilt beat Kentucky 81-79. Michaela Blakes went for 35. Another big game by her. She's looking like a player of the year candidate for real. And then finally, Michigan State did knock off Minnesota 75-61. Those were all your ranked opponent games today. And it's gonna be, I mean, tournament starting next weekend. Well, next Monday, really, because the last game I believe is UCLA USC on Sunday. I don't know who else plays that day. But it's going to be interesting, folks. This South Carolina question. I wish South Carolina had played UConn this year. Like the fact they didn't play this year, it is one of those things where it's like I wish they'd have played because you'd have a better idea naturally if they can really compete. But does that help? Does that help UConn? Does that help South Carolina? I don't know. I don't know. But that's all I got. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm just trying to check if I'm missing anything before we go here. Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Michaela Blakes. Michaela Blakes is averaging 26 a game right now. 26.3, 3.7, and 4.6 assists on 45.9% shooting. Is she leading the country in scoring? She might very well be. Let's see. Is she leading the country in scoring? Yes, she is. She's leading the country in scoring. I mean, she's a dog, man. Watch out. She's the one that could carry somebody. She could carry it. Vanderbilt is a team to watch out for because they're gonna. You get a hot game from Michaela Blakes. Oh boy, you might have some problems. But that's all I got. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell. And of course, South Carolina fans, bring me the smoke. I want to know what you think. I appreciate y'all. This is Her Game, Her Way, women's basketball powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.